Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So like I mentioned last week, I wanted to do another kind of Q&A video that I kind of do every summer, just kind of as an update, as well as we can do kind of like a meet the artist for anyone who is new. So that is what I'm going to be doing today in terms of drawing. I think I'm just going to leave it as a square and we can just get a head start on drawing a little bit, and then we can get into some questions. Actually, let me scribble down a pose first. We'll get into the questions after. So for the meet the artist, it's basically like a little tag where you draw yourself, and I believe like either some belongings or what's in your bag. And then you have like likes and dislikes and just any general information. So I could do this. I've seen some people do meet the artist where they're sitting, and I think it's a little bit easier of a pose to cram into a square rather than making something very tiny. Rotate, and then I'm going to scrunch up the body just a little bit more. Tilt myself forward. Throw in an arm right here, and then I will get into the questions, because I think at this point I have enough detail for me to go off of. Plot myself right at the bottom, so we can have our likes and dislikes up here, as well as like our general information. Okay, so let's get into general questions, such as what's your name? So I know a lot of people on this channel call me Rin, and I know it's because also I said it in previous videos that that's how I like to be referred to, just because it is kind of like my online alias, but it is not my actual name. So my actual name is Joanna, and I just feel a little bit uncomfortable when people that I do not know call me that. So if you're referring to me and it's on my YouTube channel or on Instagram or whatever, and we're not super like close or buddy, I definitely prefer if you do call me by my online alias, which is Rin. Which basically stems from Rin, like Kagami and Rin, which is a Vocaloid, because that was what my previous username on DeviantArt used to be associated with. But my current username now, which is Rin Spirit, Rin is like coming from my online alias, so it's coming with me, along with In Spirit, which is the fandom name for Infinite fans. And Infinite is a K-pop group that I used to be like a super big fan. They're a little bit more inactive now, so I don't talk about them as much anymore, but I still love them a lot. But yeah, I just thought that In Spirit fits nicely right into the name Rin. And the reason why I like doing the Q&A around this time is because when I say my age, it won't change like immediately. So as of July 19th, I am 26 years old. I know some people think I'm a lot younger just based on what I sound and probably what my hands look like, because they are on the chubbier side. But yes, I am 26 years old. I reside in Canada. I am Canadian, but my ethnicity is Chinese. In terms of languages, I only speak English fluently, but I can understand and I speak very little Cantonese, as that's the language that my parents speak. But my parents do know a little bit of English, one more than the other, and then as well as Mandarin and Cantonese and some other Chinese dialects. So I think that's it for general questions. I'll put some other information on the Meet the Artist, so you guys will probably see it throughout the video or at the very end. So I tried my best to separate the questions enough in such a way that they're kind of in categories. So let's get into some of the questions. while I try to draw myself. I'm filming this before my birthday, so future me, I hope you're eating sushi happily on Tuesday. Okay, so Cherry Cat asks, here are some questions. How do you deal with your storage when you film with so much footage? If you had to pick one color palette to use forever, what would it be? Who's your favorite Haiku character? Have you played any new games recently? And lastly, which artist would you want to collaborate with? Okay, so for the first question, how to deal with storage when you film so much footage. So basically, my laptop actually has very little space on it. That was a mistake on my part. I bought one that was powerful enough to handle drawing and video editing, but it's not very storage heavy. So usually I would film either 1 to 2 videos, and I will either have to render the video footage immediately, or I will have to basically render it in a certain way that I'm able to delete the footage afterwards, because the rendered footage takes up a lot less space because it's edited down, so I can actually have more storage if I delete the footage. I usually record anywhere between, I think, 2 to who knows how many hours when it comes to like traditional art. So yeah, there's a lot of footage. So I delete and edit and render as I go along to keep things at a minimum. Which is kind of the reason why it's hard for me to actually get ahead with uploads, which kind of sucks, but you know, there's ways to manage, and I've done it before. I'm just not very diligent at the moment. Okay, I wanted to talk about storage because I haven't had time to find the proper place to say this, but a lot of you guys who've seen my Procreate gallery or have questions about iPad storage, at this point, I have reached the limit several times, but it was always solved by deleting time lapses. As you can see, I have a lot of artwork in here. So you can see in my VTuber one, I have 41 artwork, 88 artwork here. My Wanu folder, I have like, where is he? I have 90. And then I have 46 in my commissions, I have 32 in my sketch pages, I have 102 in my OCs, and 46 for others. So it's like a lot of artwork, and a lot of them are completed, and the file size tends to be around the same. But if I had only time lapses on here, it takes up so much space. So in the beginning, I could clear out like 10 to 7 gigabytes actually of just Procreate footage, but I'm at the point where the files is what's taking up a lot of space. So you can see that when I get to the bottom of my gallery, it's a lot shorter now because I offloaded a few of my artwork and stuff into my Google Drive. I'm already paying for Google Drive space anyways, so I thought I could just offload stuff here for now until, if in the future I do get a new iPad, I will opt for something that's the same size, probably the same type, but I will just up the storage in the future. But for now, this still works for me quite wonderfully. I like the size, and space isn't too much of an issue if I'm able to offload it somewhere. So I highly recommend that if you're worried about space, up your amount of storage that you can get on your iPad. But if you're worried about price range, I highly recommend like either transferring it to your computer if you already have one, or a extra drive. For me, I like having it in a Google Drive just because I can offload just like whenever. I don't have to like plug a cord, I don't have to send it to myself kind of thing. I can just easily do it via the Google Drive app. But yeah, I have majority of my stuff in here now, just like previous Meet the Artists and some other drawing sessions that I've done in the past. I'll find a different way how to display or show these at a future time, just because when I do a Procreate gallery tour, I would like to have this available. I always struggle to figure how I should draw myself. It's mostly like the clothes that I don't know what to dress myself in. And I wear usually just like some kind of light color tank top. Okay, second question was, if you had to pick a color palette to use forever, what would it be? So let me see if there's a picture that I have that kind of encapsulates, that kind of like shows the general. Actually, I think something like this, actually. Yeah, something like this would be a color palette I really like. It's more on the warmer side, but I like having kind of like cooler tones in here. I like things that are either blue or pink just because my carrot self is like that. Purples I use a lot, so yeah, probably something like this. I like using a little bit more softer colors that are vibrant as well, so yeah, maybe this as a color palette I would really like. Who's your favorite Haikyuu character? So the thing is, like, I don't have a specific favorite character. I could say it's Sugawara because I like that, just that type in general. I like people who are very cheerful, very optimistic, also very kind and sweet. So I do like Sugawara, but I really like just the setters in general. But I also really like Yaku. So even though he's not a setter, he's one of my favorites as well. I have fairly thick hair. I just don't know how to draw myself. My hair, actually, how long is my hair now? I have my hair tied up. Let's draw myself somewhat accurately. It's like right above my bust. So if I was trying to draw myself in a stylized way, but like accurately enough, I should give myself a little bit of droopier eyes. I think I was told that I have like almond shaped eyes, so I don't know how to portray that in my style, but and the fourth question is, have you played any new games recently? Have you played any new games recently? So I don't really game that much anymore. I've kind of not grew out of it, but I just prefer to occupy my time with drawing. Like, I take a break from drawing by doing more drawing. That's the type of person I am. In terms of new games, like I said, because I don't game a lot, I haven't picked up anything like console related or anything like that. But mobile game wise, I actually have been playing Untitled Stars. I really like the game and the characters. I think it's just fun. Rhythm games are just fun. I think the most recent one that I've played in terms of like something maybe on the Switch or something was Project Diva, just because I wanted to pick it up again, and probably like Taiko no Tatsujin. But I haven't played anything new, but I would like to buy the new Pokemon game when it comes out, because I'm always excited for Pokemon. So I love any sweaters that covers your hands. I think it's also because I get anxious a lot, so sometimes I fidget with my hands. And lastly, which artist would you like to collaborate with? Now, the thing is like, I don't really think about this a lot, but in general, I don't watch a lot of artists anymore, so I don't know who I would want to collaborate with specifically. I think anyone who probably makes like generally the same content. I was very happy when Sakura Opal or Veda contacted me about it, because we have so much stuff in common. It was nice, and we talked like prior because of another 17 collab group, so that was very nice. But yeah, anyone probably who makes like similar content that I can like get along with, if that makes sense, like personality wise, or how to explain it, interests. But I think also I'm too much of a scaredy cat to contact people about collabs. Okay, let's go on to the next question. Thank you very much, Cherry Cat, for asking your questions, and hopefully those answers are somewhat suitable, I guess, or what you were looking for. Okay, so another one like kind of pertaining to video related stuff. Haley Cooper asks, my Q&A question is, when are you doing a room tour? But I love your videos. I am an OG fan. I always watch you with my big sis, and she and I love your videos. Keep up the good work, Rin. Thank you very much for the support, by the way, from both you and your sister. I've been kind of putting this off. I've mentioned it a couple of times that I have no intentions of making a room tour, and it's mostly because like I find it more like personal space. So yeah, and I spend like majority of my time here, so I like leaving it as a space where I don't have to keep it presentable, or you know, I don't have to let people know what's in my room kind of thing. But I am willing to do a desk tour. I am gonna have to clean up a little bit because my desk is a little bit of a mess from the last painting session of the one I did for Monday's video, because acrylic painting is, to me, is a little bit more of a hassle. So I have a bunch of like paper and like scraps and stuff here and there, and water containers. Keep in mind, I don't really have like an aesthetic. I just buy whatever is cute or whatever is convenient. So that is your warning. So hopefully that'll be Saturday's video, if I'm diligent enough. So thank you, Haley, for your question. Another question that I get a lot. So Grace, I have no idea what the little end part of your name is, but first question is how long do you draw a day? So I'm assuming like how many hours do I draw in a day? And for me, it really kind of fluctuates and it depends. Sometimes I draw the entire day if I'm trying to hit deadlines, or let's say I'm drawing something for a friend or a commission or some kind of deadline, but I also have to do a YouTube video. So it's like I cram that all into one day or one session if I can. So it kind of varies, but I draw several hours a day. Okay, and for the question that I get the most is literally, will you be doing a tutorial? A lot of people already know my opinion on this, but I'm going to repeat it for people who are new, or if people think my opinion has changed. Surprise, it hasn't. I have no intentions of making tutorials. Like I said, I treat my channel mostly as a way for me to kind of like document process, but also show you guys the process, but not in like a tutorial kind of way. I don't think I have the knack for teaching, if that makes sense. I don't think it's going to be very beneficial for you guys to listen to me ramble about something that I'm unsure about. I think there's plenty of resources on YouTube that you can refer to and learn from like professionals or from people who are a lot more eloquent with speaking. So yeah, that is my opinion. I have no intentions of making tutorials. And no, it's not like some kind of gatekeeping kind of thing. I just think that people do not need to be spoon-fed how to do something. And the reason why I'm saying it's like not like gatekeeping, because I literally post videos on the full process. I do a lot of draw with me's where I also talk about process and stuff. I just don't think it's as beneficial to do like a full-blown tutorial on how I draw, if that makes sense. I think it's more beneficial to learn about drawing in general, or learning how to do like something more specific, and you can watch tutorials online or on YouTube on how to do said thing, if that makes sense. Okay, my questions are a little out of order. Okay, so next question is by Liza Official, or Liza. How do you get into this art style and decided that that's how you're going to draw for the rest of your life? So I think there's a bit of an assumption here, as like for the last part. So how did you get into this art style? Basically, my belief for art styles is that, one, you shouldn't worry too much about it unless you plan on going into like a specific area, such as like the industry or something like the art industry, animation industry, something like that. Then I think like consistency is more important, and kind of having a consistent style per se is more important for that portfolio's sake. But you know, a lot of people who look at portfolios and stuff like to see your varied ability as well, and it also caters towards what you're trying to do. I don't even know what kind of shoe I'm drawing here. I went into like autopilot mode. How did you get into this art style? I didn't really address it. It's basically a conglomeration of like your preferences, like whether or not it's like aesthetics, also like what kind of styles you prefer, as well as like what artists you've looked at. Like anything of that will influence your art style, as well as just general fundamentals. As you learn about new things, you will obviously change how you perceive it, or how you want to draw it, or your opinion about it will also affect on how you view it. So things are going to change as you grow as a person. So I think it's a bit of an assumption to say that I'm going to draw like this for the rest of my life. And I think also like even if a person's like happy with where they're at, I'm pretty sure most people still seek improvement or something greater. But hopefully that makes sense. In terms of the art style thing, like I said, I don't know if I addressed it properly, but it's just a mishmash of whatever you're interested in. Actually, I think I have a video on how, I think I showed you guys what my old art looked like till my newer art. And I think I explained like kind of like the ups and downs of where I became super stagnant because I was very stubborn about keeping like a style the same, which definitely stunted my art growth. So I highly do not recommend that you get too stubborn with saying like, this is my art style, this is why I draw the things I draw. I think some things are just about like justifiable for that, but in terms of like not wanting to improve, that's definitely like a crutch for people of saying like, this is why I draw things incorrectly. And I've done it too, so. Okay, but Liza, thank you very much for your question. Let's move on to the next one. Simya Haidi or Haid asks, question, do you still use the same art supplies or has anything changed, and how are you doing? I'm actually doing fine today, so thank you very much for asking. As for the art supplies, I think pretty much everything remained the same. The only thing that's different is mostly my digital supplies. A lot of my traditional supplies I've had either from high school or from uni, so I've only added to the collection rather than like changed anything per se. But yeah, the addition of the iPad as well as sometime I think August of 2020, I got the opportunity to try out Gaumon's PD2200 I think tablet, which is like the 22-inch display. So that is what I've been using since then. But program-wise, I've always used Paint to the Side, so yeah, there's actually not too much that's really has changed. Because the funny thing is like I have pencils in my pencil case all the way from my junior high days technically. Is it in here? No, I think it's right here. So these are from my junior high days. I've always used the Bic mechanical pencils. I've also had like the 0.7 ones as well. I believe I just have them in storage. Like these ones. These are from my middle school days. And it's a 0.7 and it even has like a blue lead in here from when I used to draw only in those colored pencils in my large sketchbooks. Epiphony. Question, have you ever gotten an art block, and if so, how do you overcome them? Now, I believe there's like 3 questions similar to this. So let me see if I can find them so we can loop them in. So Serena N also asked, so where do you get motivation to draw? I think that's also kind of looped in there. They have like a bunch of other questions too, so we'll get to that. And then another one was from I Love You. Question, how do you stay motivated with drawing? I love your art and I learn from you, but it's still hard for me to stay motivated. So for me, motivation and art block kind of go hand in hand, because I feel like motivation can get not stunted, but like stopped from an art block, right? So in terms of art block, I personally do one of 3 things. If you guys have any other like suggestions, I highly recommend you leave them in the comments, and I'll heart a bunch of them too if you have any suggestions on how to you overcome art block. So for myself, one, I either go back to my roots and draw something absolutely familiar. So this could be my OCs, this could be 17. Masaki is very much like a comfort character for me, so I draw him a lot when I don't know what to draw or I'm feeling very like bogged down about either improvements or not liking any of my sketches. Which is kind of sad because a lot of my Masaki drawings then come out very derpy because of that kind of session. But I think that's okay. At least like I'm drawing, so... Or like the second method that I do is actually the opposite. So instead of staying in your comfort zone, I like to kick myself out of the comfort zone. So draw things that you're not used to. So this could be, let's say, flowers or still lifes or buildings, clothing, people's hairstyles, or trying out new mediums. So I think before, when I was into a kind of an art block, I actually gravitated towards using gouache a lot. So that was one thing I did. Another one I did, I think, was like some kind of like the marker doodles. Those helped me out too. So just being able to switch it up in some kind of way, I think is also very helpful. And then the third option is, I think you might need to take a break. Sometimes like art block or burnout can happen, and it might be just because you actually just need to take a break. So, you know, see the signs and take a break if you really need to, and kind of avoid the break, like the burnout or art block, because I think burnout and art block can go hand in hand as well. Revisit your drawing at a later time. Sometimes it feels more refreshing after taking a break. So yeah, I would suggest those 3 things. And I think motivation is very different for different people. I jokingly say that I'm motivated by fear, and I don't think it's incorrect, but it's also not very healthy. It's partially why I make videos so last minute. So I like to keep a consistent art schedule for myself in terms of YouTube, just because everything else in my life is kind of like inconsistent, but it's kind of for that reason, because I need to be present for other things. Let's say like family. If I need to accompany someone to an appointment or something, I'm usually the one who has to go. So it kind of leaves my my schedule open for those options. So keeping something like YouTube on a strict schedule where I upload 3 times a week kind of makes sure is that if I'm not drawing or if I'm taking a break, to get motivated by fear is definitely a way. So I feel the pressure from the uploaded schedule, which, like I said, it's not very healthy to do, but it is a way for me. And I know I'm the type of person who probably needs deadlines, otherwise I'll keep pushing it back and back. So like I said, motivation comes from different things. Other ones, like you could set goals for yourself. So give yourself some kind of a timeline and give yourself a goal so that you can try to achieve that goal. And whether or not you're that type of person who, you know, needs a goal to see where you're heading, sometimes can be very motivating. Also, just like small things. I don't know if this coincides with the idea of motivation, but like, I like the idea of like do 15 minutes of drawing. And if you like the drawing, you continue. And if you don't, you basically just stop right there and congratulations, you've drawn for the day, kind of thing. Like, I don't want drawing to be super pressure heavy, if that makes sense. Keep it pressure free and go at your own pace. I know it's probably not the best advice, but I'm sorry, I don't have anything better probably to say. Sky with Angel says, how did you find your art style? So I kind of answered this in the other question. Like I said, it comes from a lot of your interests, as well as how much effort you're putting into wanting to learn something. Because I think I've mentioned this in previous videos that I used to do a lot of like more simple cell shading, and that stemmed from me accidentally going too ham with rendering things. And then I basically put like kind of like a restriction on myself, which kind of stunted my art growth. And I got really interested in lineless kind of stuff, like people who don't do line art, people who do more like painterly stuff. So I did a lot of painting on Paint Tool side to see what I could do, reducing layers, trying to paint with only one brush kind of idea. And then I watch other people draw and see how they paint. It's the same thing like when I taught myself how to use watercolors. Like I just look up videos, see what I like and want to achieve, and then, you know, see videos that either demonstrate that or look up illustrations that look similar to what you're trying to do. It definitely helps how to do something, and leaving that opportunity to allow yourself to grow will all change your way how you approach drawing, which thus will change your art style. So like I said, just focus on drawing the things you like, drawing things the way you like, and if there's anything you don't know how to do or you want to improve on, then kind of do that. So, and you like something that they do, you might incorporate it into your own artwork. Now, that's not saying that you're incorporating the whole person's style, because that is just blatant, just like copying. And I find it kind of like lazy in that sense, because I don't think you're technically learning as much as you could if you're just blatantly copying someone's style, because you're imitating rather than learning in a sense. But tracing or copying still has a little bit of merit in terms of it is a way to learn. So like look up a bunch of different artists, see what you like from each artist, and try to incorporate and understand why you like a certain thing from a different artist. Okay, Turd Polish asks, how did you decide on your career? Another question is, did you know what career you would be when you entered college? This being the other part of the question refers to the actual video, but I appreciate it. Thank you. So the funny thing is that I think in high school, not until like 12th grade, like grade 12, I didn't know that I wanted to do art. It's because of the environment that I was in that I decided to pursue art. And career-wise, my initial plan was actually to go into graphic design and or do teaching. And I know some people are going to be like, but you don't do tutorials, like how are you going to teach? So basically, if I went to teaching, I want to have like the credentials and I would actually go to school to do like the educational program, like 2 years of education and do some kind of like, you know, teaching assistant and stuff prior to doing everything else. That was like a plan. Another thing was graphic design, but I decided and mistakenly went into fine arts, which if you don't know, the best way I can describe it is kind of more like gallery art. So it's like the art you see in galleries. A lot of like oil painting, installations, video art, more modern, contemporary stuff, all that jazz. That is what my program was, and I mistakenly went into there and I committed because I didn't know where else to go, and I don't think design would have been the best choice for me. The second half of the question, did you know what your career would be when you entered college? So when I entered uni, I didn't technically know. I kind of had a vague idea, and I feel like it was partially to satisfy my parents' curiosity and stuff, or like their expectations. But I mentioned that it was mostly a environmental thing. So I went to a very academic heavy private school. So my confidence in my grades and stuff was just not as high because I'm being compared to a lot of these kids who I think are a lot more intelligent, a lot more book smart than I am. So I was confused on what I would even want to major in. Science-wise, I would have majored in biology. And then if you count psychology as a science, because some people count it as arts, some people count it as science, but I could have done psychology as well because I am interested in human behavior, more specifically. Yeah, I don't know. That or maybe something in computers. I do have interest in it, but I don't take any courses to further my learning for it. So yeah, that's where I was in high school. So I'm going to change the background to white. I am going to plop down a blue color just so I can kind of keep the aspect ratio the same. Like this. Yeah, but let's color myself. I'm also... Whoa, this is really saturated for you guys. I'm also going to draw my bag actually on the same layer. So let's go ahead and do that. So my bag is like very rectangular. It's like a purse or a messenger bag kind of style. Messenger style kind of purse, I guess would be a better way of describing it. Okay, while I try to figure out my bag, let's answer the rest of Serena N's questions. So do you ever find yourself comparing your artworks to others? Yes, but I think I'm able to kind of separate. Like, I like looking at other people's art and realizing like, wow, I wish I could draw like them, but it's more like in a goal-orientated way rather than, oh my god, like my art sucks, I don't like my art because, you know, blank draws so much better than me, or like I like how this person draws and I don't like how I draw. It's definitely more towards like how you want to view other people's artwork. I think that's mostly just it. I think it's also just trying to get comfortable with, I think there's another person's question about like inner critique. I'll put it in here as well. But in terms of like inner critique, I think you need like just a healthy amount, because you need to know enough to be able to know what to improve. But it shouldn't be like super debilitating to the point where you're not gonna want to improve or want to continue. So I basically wear this more like as a messenger bag type thing, like a crossbody, because I usually wear it like this way usually. If I have like the strap a little bit shorter, I will wear it on the side right here. I've drawn the shape of my bag technically correct, or like the upper flap part. So this actually is a lot smaller. So I kind of already answered the next part of the question. Also, how did you know you wanted to do art as a career? So I've already answered that. And thank you very much for your hard work. I truly love and appreciate your content a lot. Thank you. I appreciate it, Serena. So next question, Fatima TH, question, do you draw every day? And the second question, what do you prefer the most, the cold colors or the warm colors? So, do I draw every day? I try to, well, not try to, I basically do draw every day, mostly because like I have a lot of stuff to do in general, that usually pertains to drawing, whether or not it's designing products, doing gifts, convention prep, or it's for videos, or just like general improvement, because I've been noticing that I haven't been drawing a lot in my sketchbook because I haven't had time to just draw for myself, which is kind of a little sad and depressing, but you know, that's okay. Kind of want to do like speech bubbles. Yes, but the second question, before I get too sidetracked, what do you prefer the most, cold colors or warm colors? Now, the funny thing is, like, I really like warm colors, especially for like color palettes and stuff. I definitely prefer that. But in terms of like seeing stuff in real life or choosing things to actually pick out for myself, I actually like a lot of like cooler colors. I think it's because I usually like blues and like anything that's teal, and those tend to lean a little bit more on the cooler side. VZX question, is there an angle you like to draw portraits in the most? Examples, looking up, looking down, 3/4, or straight forward. So I think it's easy to tell if you look at my gallery. Unfortunately, I like drawing portraits mostly face on or towards the left side of the canvas, if that makes sense. So let's go into one of my folders. You can already see like this one's facing forward, more forward, more forward. And a lot of them face either to probably the left side of the canvas if I'm drawing them for default. Also, if I'm sketching people, it tends to face this side just because the curvature of my hand, it's easier for me to go this way than this way, if that makes sense. In terms of looking up or looking down, I just like making them tilted, if that makes sense. It's funny, I should have drew myself the other way. I think it's because like how my hair is situated that I wanted to draw myself from this angle. Belks Marie, question, have you always liked drawing boys more than girls? And question, how do you sketch flowers so pretty and realistic? Thank you. So surprisingly, no. I actually drew way more females than males until I got into 17, basically. So I think 17, which is like around 2015, is my biggest turning point. So I drew females a lot, and a lot of the time I actually had more female OCs, and I drew my female OCs more. But nowadays, if I'm ever going to default to drawing an OC, I draw Masaki, and the majority of my OCs are male. But yeah, I think because of drawing 17, I gravitated towards drawing more and more males, just because I drew fan art, and there's 13 of them, so there's a lot of males to draw. And then how you sketch flowers so pretty and realish. I feel very borderline about my approach to drawing flowers. I think I mentioned this before. I feel more confident drawing flowers than coloring. Sometimes when I color them, they look very plasticky in a sense, especially when I'm doing them digitally. I think I'm okay when it comes to drawing them with like traditional medium. So that's probably the reason why. So mostly it's just practice and looking up references, and you know, learning more and more about the flowers as you go, like learning the structures, how people like to draw like the petals or like the form of the petals and stuff. I don't know if I have a very good example digitally though. Rachel asks, question, any habits while you draw? Do you listen to music or some sort of podcast? If so, which one or which genre? So for me, I do listen to music probably almost every time I'm at my computer. I am listening to music. Even like if I'm watching videos, when I'm watching videos or live streams, I also have music on. I just have it very faint in the background. It just helps me concentrate. Oftentimes I drown out the music in my brain. Unless it's like something like really like pumping me up, I will like bob my head, I would move around, that kind of stuff. But for the most part, I always listen to music. Genre-wise for music, I like listening to a lot of K-pop. I listen to J-pop. I listen to J-rock and J-indie as well as K-indie. But more recently, I've been listening to a lot of like songs that gives me a lot of nostalgia. and I've been listening to 17's new album and the repackaged album. So that is like mostly what I've been listening to. I highly recommend a playlist on Spotify though. Maybe I'll leave a link in the description, but it's called Japanese Summer Radio. So they have a lot of artists that I really like I don't know how to say their name. Omoi no Take. I like Blue Vintage. I like Lucky Kilimanjaro. I like Lucky Tapes. Who else is in here? Yoasobi, Miss Green Apple, Eve is in here, Sumika is in here, Aimee. How do you say their name? Aimee? Aimee. I don't know how to say their name. Chico at Honeyworks is in here, Adew's in here, Yoroshika, who else is it? Haruno, Mille, Wachi. Let's see. So if you like, I don't know how to explain the summer vibes from this playlist, but it's like a lot of the music that I tend to listen to. Awesome City Club is one I really like as well. They're great. Yuri is in here. Vondi is in here. Where is the artist that I found recently? Novel Bright. So Novel Bright's another one I really like. So yeah, I found Novel Bright from the Japanese Summer Radio. But yeah, I listen to this one a lot. And I just play it on shuffle, and it has like 211 songs. And I believe the person who makes the playlist often adds new songs, so it's just great vibes, I guess. Podcast wise though, I really like Stephanie Sue's Baking a Mystery and her Rotten Mango podcast, which is just true crime, but it's more of like the gruesome cases that are on the podcast, but I also watch her videos and stuff. I think that's all for the podcast I really listen to. I do listen to Trash Chase from time to time, as well as the OTV podcast if I don't know what to listen to. But other than that, I've been also listening to old Taylor Swift songs and old Avril Lavigne and reliving my junior high days. I don't know if I made this too small. I don't know if I can fit all my items. But granted, like I only carry like 4 items. Okay, Katafi asks, how has your art process changed over the years? I want to discover how artists found that worked for them over the years and what stayed the same. I'm gonna put a video link in the description, and I'll put the video thumbnail right here, maybe something in the iCard, but you can check out this video because I talk a lot about my style and stuff in that one. Momo Shio, hi, I love your 17 and Niji Sanji arts. Thank you for always sharing your art and even process. It helps me motivate me to do my own art, haha. My question is, what do you do about your inner critic? To give context, I've been really disheartened by my art recently, to the point where I thought about giving up art sometimes. Sometimes it's because of my inner perfectionism, and other times it is because I feel like I'm not good enough. A lot of it is a me thing, so I'm trying to hang in there and keep doing my best. But I appreciate your advice. Any advice you could offer about this. Thank you for your hard work. Otsu. Thank you. So I talked a little bit about this, I believe. So in terms of inner critique, I think a lot of it is coming in terms that sometimes your expectations and the level of your drawing is not going to be the same, if that makes sense. So usually if you become art blocked and feel very unmotivated or feel disheartened by your art not looking a certain way, it kind of means that your expectations are growing larger and your art's not quite catching up, which technically is a good thing. It means that you're hopefully going to be improving very soon, because you're going to work harder towards wanting to catch up to your expectations. Now, in terms of critique, I think, yeah, it's definitely more of like a you thing. Like, it's very much internal, and it's going to be very different from person to person. Everyone probably dislikes their own art at some point, whether or not it's because they think they're not good enough, or maybe they didn't execute something that they how they wanted to, if that makes sense. So I don't have like a surefire way how to handle. Actually, let me kind of let my brain steam this question in my brain for a little bit. Sofa Imaginator asks, how many total Procreate finished pieces do you have? I'm not gonna count them. I have a lot. I know me looking at my gallery is not gonna really help determine how many finished ones I have, because even if I check here, it says like I have 88 Genshin Impact drawings, but you can see that not all of these are finished. There's a good chunk of them that are, but there's a lot of them that aren't. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to quantify that. I'm just gonna say a whole lot. Finnick Vernon Yuki asks, how do you break down references? I find it hard to get info that I want when looking to my references. Hi, I love your videos, by the way. How to break down references. I think that's a little bit difficult. Yeah, I think redlining is a good way, or doing a one-to-one, kind of like a master study is another good way to do it. Okay, here's a way how I break down references for other things. So let's say this. So I did this for a zine. So I had Sungwon right here, who I was trying to draw. And then I had my references because we had to submit like a mood board for the zine. So I had some flowers. I had the general vibe of the colors. I have also some other color palettes here. I was trying to pick colors. So this is how I'm breaking down my references. So I'm using ruffles and clothing folds and just like the general idea of this shirt, but I wanted the ruffles of this shirt. Also playing with this color palette. I wanted this accessory with blue-haired Sungwon. So like this is kind of like my mood board and how I'm kind of looking at my references. And you can see that my reference and my final piece, they don't look exactly the same to any of these pieces. So here's like the general idea for the watch. I have the ruffles from that one piece. This one's based from that very first dress shirt that you guys saw, and then the general color palette's more like that muted tone. I also did kind of like peonies in the back. Elisa Raux. I don't know how to say your name. I apologize for butchering it terribly. But Q&A question. So what inspired you to draw and when did you start? So I always liked drawing as a kid just because school is just for me kind of boring. It's not as fun. I'm usually very nerve-wracked by talking in class and stuff, so art was very therapeutic for me. And I always drew a lot with like some of my classmates and friends during like library or reading time and stuff. But what got me into art a lot is actually anime. And the reason why I got into anime was because of a friend in middle school. So once I moved to the city and I met this girl who was part of my one of my current best friends' friend groups. She was like, oh, like, do you watch anime, or like, you know, do you want to draw and stuff? And she would show me a bunch of things, and like we would draw together, we would share things. It was really fun. And then another friend would join, and the three of us would draw and share and be excited whenever someone else would be improving or all that jazz kind of stuff, if that makes sense. Mochi Wolf asks, what are your settings for all your Procreate brushes? And Zam likes to draw has a kind of like a question that kind of like loops into it. So Rin, love your videos, and are you going to export brushes so people can use them? So my opinion on this is basically this. For my settings for Procreate, I have a video on it where I do go through the settings, but I highly urge you to look at Jing Sketches' brush pack and test them out for yourself so you can see what you like and what you prefer. Because the settings are tailored for what I like to do in my process. And the reason why I don't export brushes, like even in Ibis Paint, the reason why I don't export brushes in Ibis Paint is because I literally don't change the settings for my colored pencil. The only thing I change is the opacity or the size. I know some people are like, oh, she has to change something else because my brush doesn't look like hers. I just want to say that, one, even if you give a person the same pencil, they're all going to draw differently, so you're not going to get the same results regardless. Two, because I'm filming with a webcam to the iPad, sometimes the texture is not that apparent. The pencil crayon on Ibis Paint does have a texture. In terms for Procreate, the reason why I don't export the brushes for people to use is because the brushes are technically not my own. They are adjusted from someone else's brushes, so I do not feel comfortable, and I don't think it's great to share someone else's brushes where it's technically paid for and they have it online for you to use. And I don't think it's appropriate for me to just be like, hey, I brought this person's brushes, I adjusted it, and here you guys can have it for free. And the second part of Zam likes to draw us question is, when do you stream? Because I thought you streamed on Thursday and Monday. Sorry for trying to drown you. So when do you stream? About the drowning thing, if you're part of my Twitch streams, you might know what that's from. But for streaming, I do stream on Monday and Thursday. The reason why there's probably a bit of confusion is that sometimes I do take a break. So if you don't see me say that I'm gonna stream, because I usually make a post either on Instagram, or I make a post on Instagram and YouTube saying that, hey, I'm gonna be streaming at 1 p.m. MST on blank day, or like on the day of. If you don't see a post around 1 p.m. MST on Monday or Thursday, it usually means I'm not streaming that day, and usually it's because either I'm too busy, I'm tired and exhausted, so I don't stream that day. But if I do decide to stream, it is on Monday and Thursday. But if I don't stream anytime on those 2 days, sometimes I will do a Friday stream. Looks like the Canadian flag, right? So, by Autumn Hurta, what is your most favorite aesthetic? So, cottagecore, kawaii, pastel, indie/pale, art, academia, and question, do you like aesthetic vlog? So, I'm gonna answer the last one first. I do like aesthetic vlogs. I am always envious of people who have very clean and tidy or very cute, organized like desk spaces and stuff, or rooms. I always think those are really pretty. Woohoo, I'm 26. But what kind of favorite aesthetic? I think clothing wise, I love dark academia a lot. Aesthetic wise, I don't know. I think I range from like a bunch of different things. I do like pastel a lot. I like softer colors. I don't know how to describe probably the aesthetics that I like. Janelle Lou Sart. Hi Rinspirit Art, I am a really big fan of yours. I really love your art and your art style because it's really amazingly beautiful. Thank you. Question, which of the Luxium members from Niji Sanji En is your favorite? If you had, why is that? I recently watched them and I recently became a fan. My favorite is Haikyuu. I just like his very calm and nice voice, and of course his model is so charmingly handsome. I like how he communicates with the children, and I like how he is so supportive of his friends. So funny enough, Luxium members. Which one of the Luxium members is my favorite? I could argue 3. I'm gonna say 2, just because I haven't watched one person as much as the other 2 anymore. So my favorite is Ike as well. Aesthetic wise, he fits right into like a lot of my favorite kind of aesthetic. I love formal outfits. I talked about liking black shirts and white coats. I just think it looks really classy looking. And funny enough, another person who follows into that color palette in a sense is Luca. So Luca is another one that I watch the most. I think I watch him the most, like even more than I watch Ike, just because of time zones. Because Luca actually streams at night for me in my time zone, so it's easier for me to catch his streams because I often stay up. But Ike is often up at any time between like 4 to 9 a.m. for me, so I often miss his live streams. The reason why Ike's my favorite besides aesthetic, I do like the calmer demeanor. Usually. I like someone with a calmer demeanor. Also, his voice is very soft. And his vocal range is something usually, or not vocal range, vocal color is very attractive to me. But yeah, I think Ike's also very sweet and just very calming. And I always like the playthroughs where he does like voiceovers and stuff. He really does characters justice, I think. It makes the experience very, I'm trying to think the right word for it, immersive, I guess is the way how to explain it. One has his birthday live right now. I'm tempted to watch. This is so stupid of me. He's doing it a lot later than before though. I guess they're busy with comeback stuff. Guys, I hate myself. Look how freaking cute he is. This is my life. I'll just put him in the background. I can't hear the audio, but this is motivation for me. Serotonin motivation that will get through filming today. Sultana Henna. Hi Rin, it's a very short question, but who is your favorite male lead character in Tears of Themis? And will you draw fan art for it? By the way, I just want to say that you're my favorite artist and best painter ever. Thank you for inspiring me in my art. Love you. Thank you. I appreciate that. And hopefully your art journey is going well. So favorite male lead, I have determined. I usually have two, but I thoroughly believe that I have one, but I like the second lead a lot too. So my favorites are Ardam as my number one, and my second one would be Luke. Yeah, I think that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed watching me draw. Basically meet the artist, as well as me doing a small Q&A, and basically another year has gone by. I'm now 26 years old. But yeah, thank you very much for all the support as well on the channel, and you guys leaving wonderful comments and stuff and supporting my art as usual. And I will talk to you guys next time in the next video. Bye!